And hello everybody, welcome back to Tousi TV, your global news channel. I am your host Dan, and we're going to be discussing the headline as Starmer has rejected an Axel Rudakubana whole life sentence. Guys, of course, on Thursday, Axel was sentenced to a minimum term of 52 years for the heinous crimes that he committed over the summer, killing 3 innocent girls at a Taylor Swift themed dance class. Of course, this general in terms of the actual sentencing itself has caused a lot of outrage from the great British public, of course, first and foremost, but actually people in higher up places in the political system and justice system wanting to see change and make extreme measures for circumstances such as this one. Look, including the judge that sentenced Axel on Thursday, he actually came out and stated that he was expressed his frustration that he could not impose a whole life order. Now, of course, we know the reason as to why he was not able to be given a whole life order due to him being 9 days short of 18 years old. And under the way that the law is, this is not something that can happen. But as stated, we brought to you a video the other day, in terms of yesterday, stating that there was a potential review going to be happening, and the Attorney General would be reviewing the sentence due to it being unduly lenient. However, Starmer, via Downing Street, has made a statement on this and has rejected that proposal. We are going to be taking a look at what he said and going through and taking your live chats, guys. So do get involved in the live chat and let's get the discussion going. So as stated, guys, as you already know, Axel, 52 years minimum term, and whilst it's not a whole life order, he could potentially see the light of day, albeit he will be 70 years old when that time comes around. There is a lot of discussion to be had on the UK changing its laws to change or make exceptions for crimes as crazy and as heinous as the one that happened at Southport. Look, an individual that showed absolutely zero remorse as well. And despite what we said the other day with regard to the Attorney General potentially reviewing it, Starmer has came out and via a spokesman and said that they wouldn't be looking to impose that due to the UN Convention on Child Rights. I'm going to get the full statement up from Downing Street so you can have a little look. So the spokesman said, first of all, we share the public disgust of all these barbaric crimes and the desire for this vile offender never to be on our streets again. However, they added, we are restricted in our ability to extend whole life orders to under 18s by UN laws, something that the previous government recognized when it changed the law in this area previously. On a specific point on a whole life orders, that's not something we're currently looking at. So guys, despite of course this coming out and saying that there was going to be a review, it doesn't look like that's going to happen because they're not looking to change or make any exception or change the laws going forward with regard to exceptions and changing the law with regard to these child killers. Now, it's so frustrating, and I share the public outrage over this individual situation as well, and certainly there has to be a debate around this to see a change actually happen going forward. Now, in terms of what the UN law is, or the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child, life imprisonment term, I've got a quote explaining it here, and you can have a little look. We've also got some reaction, of course, from other members of Parliament with regard to that statement from Downing Street. Obviously challenging that. People like Robert Jenrick, of course, have rubbished those claims that Starmer kind of came out with. So we'll be looking at that and discussing that. But let's have a little look at what this UN Convention of the Rights of Children Act actually is. So here you can see the life imprisonment. Article 37 of the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child states that neither capital punishment nor life imprisonment without the possibility of release will be used for people under the age of 18. The United States is the only country not to have the ratified in the convention, having signed it in 1995 but not passed it through the Senate for approval. A report by the Penal Reform International Charity in 2021 found that 100 children were serving life without parole across the United States. Now, again, this is certainly a discussion and something that's going to divide opinion, certainly when it comes to child imprisonment. However, situations and exceptions such as this case, there should be a law able to give whole life terms to individuals as such as sick and twisted as Axel Rudakubana is. Now, again, I know that everyone's going to be split on opinion. There's going to be a lot of debate over it, but certainly there should be a debate on changing and making exceptions for crimes such as this one, or cases such as this one. Now, as stated, Robert Jenrick has came out and responded to that Downing Street statement via the spokesman for Keir Starmer, saying this. Robert Jenrick said, Labour's claim that the international law prevents a change is a distraction ploy that overlooks the UK's dualist legal system. International treaties require specific incorporation through legalisation to be enforceable in our courts. Starmer's predictable attempts to gold-plate international law are no excuses for inaction. The Conservatives will be pursuing this. Now, of course, there has been other reaction to this, but Robert Jenrick is absolutely correct. And it does look as though, Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Tory party as well, has also expressed frustration over this. The Southport MP as well, Patrick Hurley, and of course the victims of the families, and even the former Director of Public Prosecutions, Lord MacDonald. So they do want to make calls for a change in the law to allow those under 18 to be given whole life sentences in exceptional cases. And this certainly is an exceptional case, and certainly one that would fit that bracket. So, what are your thoughts on this? Of course, with regard to Starmer, again, there's always something very, very controversial with what he's saying. He never really shares the public opinion on literally anything. He doesn't really share the public opinion on anything whatsoever. But to sort of rubbish down those calls to potentially change laws to make exceptions for crimes such as this is it's a disgrace. Everybody else is, of course, sharing this frustration and wants there to be a debate around it and make those exceptions for cases such as this. So he's the only one, by the looks of things, and the Labour Party, of course. Guys, I'm going to take some reaction, as always, so do get involved in the live chat on this situation. I'm sure a lot of you will be asking where Mayor is. Very, very busy behind the scenes at this moment in time. So I'm covering today's story, but could be back later for more coverage, especially if there's some breaking news going on. Now, I'm going to take I've got a super chat here, guys, from Roman Harris. Shout out to Roman, first and foremost. He stated he donated £2 and said, Starmer needs to join him in the jail cell. Yeah, thank you so much for the support on that one. Let's have a little look at some more, guys. Let me try and find some more comments. Oh, here we go. We got another super chat, guys. We got another super chat here. From Cynthia Kress. She donates $5 and said, he's not a child, he's a monster. We have a saying in the southern US, if you're old enough to do a man's crime, you're old enough to do a man's time. No, exactly. Look, I understand that. I understand as well with the whole law with kind of protecting the under 18s and people that are under 18. Of course, I do get it. However, people are not calling to make complete changes to the law in general. They're just calling to make exception to really heinous crimes such as this, and this certainly would fit that criteria as an exception. But absolutely, you're correct, and I love that saying. If you are old enough to do a man's crime, you're definitely old enough to do a man's time. So yeah, I agree with that, Cynthia, and thank you so much for the $5. And a thing on America as well. Again, this is another topic of discussion. Obviously, America, the way that their sort of prison system works in terms of justice and sentencing in general is completely night and day to the United Kingdom in general anyway. I think I've always admired the way that the US go about with their prison terms, their prison sentences. A lot of people think that it's very excessive, certainly, but on the cases of murder and terrorism and all of these kind of things, they've absolutely got it correct. I think America, with their sentencing, I don't object to any of it. And to be fair, again, there could be a debate in the United Kingdom, and again, this is just my view personally, as Dan. There could be a debate one day to, of course, talk about a death penalty for crimes such as this. So yeah, I certainly agree with the way that America go about things in terms of their sentencing and their justice system. We've got another super chat here, guys. Thank you so much from Elegant Rebel. It says it shouldn't be concurrent sentencing. Again, that's another thing that's caused public outrage. It shouldn't be concurrent sentencing. You know, you've killed 3 individuals. It should be serving one sentence after the other sentence after the other sentence. So yeah, I absolutely echo that, and I absolutely agree with that, Elegant Rebel. You're absolutely correct. It shouldn't be concurrent sentencing. It should, and that's another thing where people are getting really, really frustrated with regard to this whole case in general. We've got another super chat. Massive shout out to everyone sending super chats. Guys, we will take some normal chats as well. But big shout out to Lyndon. She says she donates £5 and says if they're old enough to do the crime, they're old enough to do the time. Exactly. Again, we've echoed that. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. I do agree with that, certainly. Let's take some more comments, guys. I'm going to go to some non-super chats. But thank you so much for the generosity this evening in terms of the super chats. Let's have a little look here. Let's take one. Julie makes a point. I don't think Rudakubana will live long enough to serve a life of... I think the guys will see to that and Screws will turn a blind eye. Definitely possible. Definitely possible. I mean, universally in prisons in general, whether we're a country, you know, child killers don't get off lightly. They're in prison. You know, they're dealt with very, very harshly by other inmates, especially child killers. I mean, again, I watch a lot of those documentaries, to be fair. I'm not talking about the films, I'm talking about documentaries, and you hear those interviews from the prisoners, and they say child killers do not get an easy time whatsoever from other prisoners. Super chats are pouring in, guys. Big shout out to you all. Thank you so much for your generosity. We've got one from Russell B here. Donates £5. Says, email 10 Downing Street and demand Keir Starmer resign immediately. I told him he's a liar, deluded and utterly inept. I think your thoughts are echoed by a lot of people within the United Kingdom. However, Starmer is one of those leaders that isn't going to be going anytime soon. I mean, he came out public really recently. He said he plans on serving the full term until 2029 and then running again. And he said he's confident of winning in 2029. I mean, I don't think I can share that same confidence that he has in himself. But again, we're all entitled to have an opinion, I suppose. But even though it's wrong. Old Man, another super chat. Big shout out to Old Man. Donates £2. He says, old woman. Sorry. Old woman donates £2. Says deport him and his family. Again, there's obviously a separate debate to be had on his family. In terms of the parents and what they knew, investigations probably should be put into that as well. You're absolutely correct. As for that, if they were complicit in any of this, then of course they should face some repercussions as well. Let's take some non-super chats from people. I like this name, and I think I know this guy. Aldo RFC says, Keir Starmer, psychopath. Again, I think you're echoed there big time. And big shout out to Aldo. I've known you for a very, very long time. You've supported a lot of what I've done, so good to see you here on Tousi TV. Another super chat. We've got a £10 donation from Barbara Davies. She says, couldn't we use the torture law? Ask Stephen the barrister. Again, I don't think that would quite work, torture in terms of that, despite a lot of the British public probably supporting your thoughts on that. However, legally, I just don't think that would ever be a thing. But, you know, I think a lot of people would agree with you, and I can see the likes on your super chat right now, and I think a lot of people are liking it, Barbara. Another £5 donation as well. Big shout out to everyone's generosity. Find Your Way Ban donates £5. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's take some more non-super chats, as I said. Rico says Starmer equals anyone but England. He doesn't equal anyone in Britain either. Yes, you're absolutely correct. 1st of February. So just taking some more comments, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As keep the comments pouring in. Do let me know your thoughts on this. Keir Starmer, of course, rejecting the Axel Rudakubana whole life sentence in that statement, despite the public outrage and despite everybody coming out in terms of high profile in the justice system, high profile in the political system as well, looking to try and make exceptions for this individual case. Try and take some more comments, guys. Taking them quickly. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to read as we go down. I'm trying to find something really, really interesting. Not to say not people were writing nonsense down there, but I'm just trying to find something really, really interesting that we could maybe talk about. 2 secs. Here we go. Tilly Sanders says, I'm not sure he'll be taken care of in prison. There's a big community in Belmarsh that will consider him a hero as they are protected in prison. They are as they are on the outside. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that the people find, I mean, it's the same with that, the guy that killed Lee Rigby. I think he's been attacked a few times, of course, in prison, but yeah, I mean, nothing really. Ahead of his sentencing, then people were saying he was going to be sort of killed and all that sort of stuff as well. But again, you know, it's a prison. It's not a free-for-all. It's not like some crazy place that you just go into and it's just a free-for-all. You're left to your own devices and people just disappear. You know, it's a prison. There's some element of safety, I suppose, in there. We got another donation as well, another super chat. Thank you so much for this one. Currency, 35ZAR. I don't think I know what that currency is, but big shout out to you anyway. And I can't read your name, unfortunately. But UK is unlikely to have something like USA. UK is a stronghold of Islamists. Young people in the UK has deep self-hatred. Thank you for your donation. Super chats are absolutely pouring in, guys. I'm going to take some more non-super chats as well a little bit later as well. But we've got another one here from Sulzy. He donates £5. If Tommy Robinson deserves to be sent to a maximum security prison for a civil contempt of court, this demon deserves a whole life sentence. Well, that's the discussion that people want to have. That's the debate that people want to have. People want there to be exceptions made. In cases like this. No one's asking to revoke the laws completely, but also have a debate just around incidences like this so that they can put people, demons, monsters like Axel Rudakubana behind bars for the rest of his life and never see the light of day. Period. Not to the point of when he's 70 he could potentially get out, albeit he'll be an old man. It's still not the point. Do you know what I mean? It's still not the point. He should never be able to see the light of day ever again. And on that note, guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll likely be back with some more if there's any more breaking news throughout the day. Mayor will, of course, be back a little bit later on. But thank you so much for tuning in to Tousi TV, your global news channel. Let's carry on the conversation down in the comment section below. I have been Dan, your host. This has been Tousi TV, and we are the media.